Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast is number 1473. The topic is nutrition, and the title is IFBB Pro Diet. I have helped people earn IFBB Pro card. I've helped people in drug-tested federations earn Pro cards as well. So I thought it would be fun just to kind of touch on what a pro-level diet looks like. And we have in podcast number 1232, it's a nutrition podcast titled Start Here, and it literally says these are the steps you should take. Now, 99.9% of the people that are going to listen to this podcast and that seek out nutrition coaching and stuff, they're going to need just what's in that podcast. That's going to get you good enough. Knowing how many calories you should be at per day and like a range, not an actual number. Don't try to hit an exact number. Be within a range. It's more realistic. And like a protein minimum, knowing like how to distribute out your calories and protein throughout the day. And then knowing when are the best times to eat carbs, when are the best times to eat fats. That stuff is going to help overwhelmingly most people. When you work with somebody to get like to a pro card, you take that stuff and you just start refining it and being more precise. We do eventually get into food selections, like eating like white rice versus brown rice, or, chicken breast versus chicken thighs. Those things matter, but not until calories have been controlled and consistent, say 12 out of 14 days. Maybe you miss one day a week where your calories are a little high or a little low. No one's perfect, but you want to be very consistent with that before you move on to the next thing. And a general level of consistency I ask for people to do is 10 out of 14 days. So if you can get 10 out of 14, that's great. 12 out of 14, that's excellent. That's really what we want. When I work with people for pro cards, we want 14 out of 14. If they're going to make, we might be working on a prep for anywhere from, say, 12 to 24 weeks. They might make one, maybe two mistakes in total that whole time. So they're no one's perfect, but they're pretty damn good. So with their numbers. But calories being within the range is going to be most important thing, then protein, then distribution, then timing of like carbs versus fats, and then we start looking into food selection. So this is what I wanted to read through, was just give you an example of what one of my clients' diets looked like when we were getting ready for a competition. So their weight would be around 125 pounds. So that way you have some reference as to like the amount of food and what I'm asking them to eat. So if you weigh other than 125 pounds, don't try to follow this. And even if you do weigh 125 pounds, you're probably not going to be, sub 10% body fat and as freaking lean and muscular as this person was. So this was more so just to give you context as to what we focus on and how their food is structured. In no way whatsoever do I intend for you to actually follow this. I highly recommend that you do not. Please do not. This is one of the reasons why I don't like doing these type of podcasts, is because I fear that people are just going to try to follow this diet. It's not going to go well. Then they're going to think either they're unhealthy and unhappy now, and they're going to think that what I'm saying is bullcrap when I've told them 1,000 times in the podcast, don't do it. So this is that part of the podcast where it says if you do this and it doesn't work, I'm not an idiot, you're an idiot. How about that? That's pretty blunt, but I do want to kind of share it with you. And one of the reasons why I want to share this is my clients, when we work on nutrition, we tend, I say, okay, where are you at? And I see what they're eating. I see what their calories are, their protein, their distribution, their attention to carbs versus fats. I just see what they're doing. And then I'm like, okay, let's clean it up a little bit in these ways. Once they get that right, I'm like, what's the next thing we could do? We get that right. Then we go, what's the next thing we can do? We get that right, And we usually find like a balance between, okay, I'm giving a lot of attention to my nutrition and I feel like I'm making progress, but I'm able to also balance my relationships, my job, my finances. I'm able to balance the rest of my life. For some clients, the rest of their life isn't too hard for them. They really do want to focus in on nutrition. So we keep taking those next steps, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, we might want to look into maybe doing a competition. We might want to look into doing like that type of diet. So I wanted to share with them like what that would look like. so that way they can get a viewpoint of how like a professional would eat. Okay, so in this professional's diet, we had a morning training day, and this is kind of like there's going to be a lot of variation here. So essentially, there's a morning training day where I trained with them, or they were doing like the workouts that I gave them, and then in the evening they might go back to the gym because they were training people and or they had some other responsibilities at the gym, like posing coaching and things like that. So they would be back in the gym later in the day, but their workout time was in the morning. Then we also had a daily structure where if they had an evening workout time, so there was no 2 times in the gym, it was just 1 time, and they were going in the evening. So there's that structure as well. And then we have a no gym day, which has a frowny face next to it actually on their program because we all love being in the gym. So there's a no gym day, and then some specifics of things. Okay, so their morning training day, they started at 6:15 in the morning as their first meal. They got up around 5:45, so they would get up, brush their teeth, go to the bathroom. I usually had them try to drink a little bit of water. Now, we included that 20 ounces of Gatorade actually in their morning meal, which, some people are going to freak out and think that's insane that I'm asking a professional bodybuilder to drink Gatorade. But yes, they actually should have, there's good points to hydrating people early in the morning and getting quick digestible proteins and nutrients in their body. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of science and things, a lot of things that you might hear in this that you're going to think that's completely crazy. But it's just because you've been brainwashed that certain foods are no-nos when there is actually highly benefit to different foods at different times. So at 6:15, they had a banana. They could substitute any other piece of fruit, but I liked banana, so that was the one I wanted them to have. It's a little bit of a slower digesting carbohydrate. And then they had 2 tablespoons of nut butter, whether that was cashew nut butter, almond nut butter, peanut butter, I don't care. And we wanted like a natural type that didn't have a crap ton of extra sugar or any other ingredients. And they had 20 ounces of Gatorade. So that was their first meal of the day, is a banana, 2 tablespoons of nut butter, and Gatorade. Now that probably broke everyone's rules of, oh my gosh, they're having fruit. Yes, you can have fruit, totally fine. Nut butter, if you're on a major diet, you'll know that that's super sweet and tasty because it has some sugars, like natural sugars in it. So you do have to control that. You have to be very careful about how you measure that out so you don't overeat that. And then we had 20 ounces of Gatorade. Now, then at 8 a.m., so an hour and 45 minutes later, they had a protein shake, which was literally just like whey protein mixed into almond milk or water, with 2 slices of a cinnamon raisin bread that they had that they liked, with, again, 2 tablespoons of nut butter. So what we were doing is, this is before their workout. They then go, and during their workout, they're doing 20 ounces of Gatorade, and then post-workout is another protein shake, and then they had these like muscle cookie things that they liked, which is basically like a protein bar, but it was in a cookie form. It had pretty good protein. It had like some artificial sweeteners and stuff in it, but nothing that messed up their digestion. So that was totally fine. If they like that, they can have that, totally fine. And they would usually get to their workout around 9, and then they would work out till about 10:30. So that was kind of the span for that time frame. And then 2 p.m. and 3:30 p.m., they had a lean meat with carb and vegetable. Now, how we kind of define that is, we said lean meat is I want them to eat 4 ounces per meal. And again, this is for their body size, their muscle mass, blah, blah, blah. But 4 ounces per meal, and its lean meat is defined as being less than 4 grams of fat per 4-ounce serving. So any meat, I don't give a crap what it was. If it was tilapia, I don't care. If you want to do chicken breast, fine. If you want to do super lean turkey, great. Whatever it is, don't care. You can have that. So they had 4 ounces per meal. Now their carb, we found for them that they digested rice, potatoes, or oats really well, where they didn't feel bloated. If they had pasta, they had kind of like a gut bloat, and they kind of weren't as hungry for their next meal. So we had to simplify that down to they were able to have white rice or jasmine rice, white potatoes, not sweet potato because sweet potato made them too full, or oats. They digested oats very quickly, which is kind of funny because all these foods are different for everyone. Like I get bloated and I don't like oats, so I can't eat oats if I want to eat it often. So oats are something where if I eat that, I'm not going to be hungry for hours. So I have to stay away from oats. So you really have to find kind of what works for each person. But those were the kind of the rules for their meal. Is at 2 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. they were supposed to have a lean meat, a carb, and a vegetable. So again, the lean meat was 4 ounces of lean meat, 4 grams of fat or less per 4 ounce serving. Then the carb could be 1 cup of cooked rice, pasta, or oats. Totally fine, whatever they want there. And then vegetables, we had the choices between broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, cucumber, carrots, zucchini, celery, or spinach. And it was 1 cup of that. So it's not a huge meal. That's actually not a big meal. Now, if you're dieting and you want to get a pro card, you're going to think that's actually a big meal. And the frequency of these meals are really high. But then at 6 p.m., they had a lean meat with just vegetable, no carbs. And then between 9 to 10 p.m., whenever they were getting, like before they go to bed, they'd have a fatty meat with vegetable. And we typically did like sirloin steak. So they would do sirloin steak again with some vegetables. So that was their day. So they had a 6:15 a.m. meal, an 8 a.m. meal. They had an intra-workout drink, a post-workout drink, and cookie. Then a 2 p.m., a 3:30, a 6 p.m., and a 9 to 10 p.m. Now, this person, if they missed their meal timing, it would have been plus or minus about 10 minutes. So if the meal says 2 o'clock, they were eating it between like 1:50 to 2:10. So they were pretty accurate. Now, I usually, when somebody's like a pro-level stuff, I ask them to do plus or minus 15 minutes as like a window. So if we say 2 p.m., try to get it between 1:30 to 2:30, something in there. We try not to have too much variance, but that at least gives them a little bit of a window. I think I did that wrong. Yeah, plus or minus 15 minutes. So it would be, if it's a 2 p.m. meal, it's 1:45 to 2:15. There you go. So 1:45 to 2:15. So it gives them like a 30-minute window to try to get that food in. Now, at pro level, this is their goal. This is their primary target. You know, other than their house burning down or their kid getting sick, you know, something like that, nothing else matters. You get your food in. Yeah, actually, heck, if the house is burning down, use the heat to heat your food and eat your next meal. So there you go. So this is number one priority for them. But this was their morning day where they trained in the morning, but they also had to go back to the gym in the evening. So there's quite a bit of calories in here, quite a bit of meal frequency. So if we count the intra workout and post workout as like one meal time, then there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times they were supposed to eat throughout the day. Now that could be a pain in the butt, I know that, but this is what would be best for this person. They liked to have more carbs throughout their day, which meant that it digested faster, and therefore we had to eat more frequently. So it really came down to also, this is the type of foods that they preferred. I have helped people get a pro card and get the competition, go to competitions and do excellent with high fat-based diets. So you just have to know, okay, if this is a person's food preference, this is what's going to help them stay on track with the diet, let's modify it to what foods that they like, and then that way that would determine like the meal frequency and the timing and things. Now, an evening training day where there was no second time in the gym, their 8 a.m. was their first meal, and they would have a protein shake and a tablespoon of nut butter. That's it. So if you notice, we don't start the day with the Gatorade. You know, starting the day with the Gatorade on a morning day was trying to get like glycogen stores starting to be built up pre-workout, so they would have some energy to actually make it through the workout. Since they're working out on an evening time on this day, we don't need that in the morning. So we have a protein shake, 1 tablespoon of nut butter. So if you notice, it's only 1 tablespoon, not 2 tablespoons. So it's actually a little bit less. We just want to give the body a little bit of something to get started with, but not give it too much to where it doesn't burn body fat. So then around 10 to 11 a.m., they'd have fatty meat with vegetable. And again, the fatty meat was typically sirloin steak. And the serving size was 4 ounces, and they would have a cup of vegetables. So again, we're not putting carbohydrates in yet. We're giving them some proteins. We're giving them a little bit of fats for energy, but we're really not like flooding the system full of a bunch of energy nutrients yet. We want to promote like some stored body fat usage. Then around 1 to 2 p.m., they'd have a lean meat with carb and vegetable. This is because they're going to start to go work out in the evening. So we want to go ahead and start introducing some carbohydrates, start filling up the glycogen stores within the muscles. Then around 3:30, they had a banana, the 2 tablespoons of nut butter, and the 20 ounces of Gatorade. So this is that, like, okay, now we're going to start flushing the system and making sure they actually have some fuel in their body, in their muscles to have a kick-ass workout. Then again, intra-workout, 20 ounces of Gatorade. Post-workout was the protein shake with the muscle cookie. And then 6 p.m. after the workout, we did lean meat, carb, and vegetable. The lean meat, carb, and vegetable was, again, to help them get the protein in. We still wanted a little bit of carbohydrates because the carbohydrates we've eaten so far in the day would have been gone, burned up completely during the workout. So I wanted to give them a little bit of carbs to be able to get through the evening, so that way they could do household chores and do things with their family, and whatnot, and not crash too early. So the carb amount that they would have gotten from that would have been just enough to get them to their next meal. So that was at 9 to 10 p.m. And again, we did a fatty meat with a vegetable. So those were the differences between morning training days and evening training days. Again, the meal count, if we count the intra-workout and post-workout as like one kind of meal, then they would have had 4, 5, 6, 7 meals. And again, this is, decent frequency, but like, for example, the banana tablespoon of nut butter and 20 ounces of Gatorade, there's not really a lot of prep time. You just have to grab that out of the cabinet and eat. So some of these things they were able to cook ahead of time. Some of them don't even require that much, like any really prep. So a protein shake and nut butter for breakfast, totally easy. You just put a scoop of protein powder in some almond milk, drink it, and put a tablespoon of nut butter in your mouth, and then try to drink the protein shake. It's all very quick, very easy to do. Then their non-gym day, their least favorite day for sure, was 8 a.m. They had a protein shake with 1 tablespoon of nut butter. They had 3 daily meals. And I didn't even give them times. I just said, hey, spread this out throughout the day. Is a lean meat, carb, and vegetable. And then their last meal of the day was the fatty meat and vegetable. So that one, they had 5 meals on that day, but it's pretty low calories. So between these days, they trained on average 6 days a week, by the way. So they only had 1 no gym day a week. This created caloric cycling, because the calorie count for the days are different on the morning training days and the evening training days, and especially the non-gym day. So there was caloric cycling between each day, but it was also because their energy usage was different on each day. So we fed them more on the days they were more active, but they were still in a minor deficit to create fat loss. On the days they were less active, we fed them less, but they were still in a minor deficit to create fat loss. So what we did here was we constantly fed them just under what they really needed all other times except for right into the workout. So going right into the workout, we created a little bit of a surplus. Then through the workout, they would burn that back off into a deficit. Then they would remain in a deficit until the next time we would go to workout. And then they would eat right before the workout, get back into a surplus, burn that off during the workout, back into a deficit. Then they'd stay in a deficit. So this creates an enormous amount of fat loss, but the body does not try to replace that body fat, because you're giving it pretty much what it needs all the time, so it doesn't feel like it really needs a big cushion. And since the meal times are all very accurate, plus or minus 15 minutes, the body doesn't really feel stressed. It doesn't feel underfed. It doesn't feel like it needs to protect itself, because you're giving it either what it needs right before the workout, so then it's not super stressed coming out of the workout saying, oh gosh, we died during that workout. We had no food to support the workout, so I better try to save everything I can in my next couple meals so I don't have to experience that again. So if you work out too underfed, you're actually promoting fat reformation post-workout. So that's something to be really aware of, is like working out fasted is so stupid, because you're going against how the body actually works. You're actually reinforcing the need for body fat. Like, you're reinforcing why the body developed the ability to store body fat. Not a good idea if you're trying to get rid of it, right? So this was a breakdown of what this pro would eat. So what's neat to see about it is there's some leeway. they got to pick different types of meats. They got to pick different types of carbs. There was difference and variety throughout the days. But, is there room for a slice of pizza? No. Is there room for a bowl of ice cream? No. We want foods that digest at exact right times, that provide the right nutrients at the right times. Now, this isn't like what they would do in their off season. This is one of their prep diets. This is what they did on the way to the competition. So I don't think that I think this was like two or three diet variations away from the competition, like the peak week. So this would have been kind of what we would have done as the heart of our fat loss, which is why I picked it. So I thought it might be fun for you to hear kind of what a pro-level diet looks like. And this is successful. This got somebody an IFBB Pro card, so it definitely works. But I just thought it might be fun to share for people to be able to listen to. So if you have any questions or if you have any follow-up comments or anything you want to learn more about it, just let me know. Shoot me an email at brittleironjim@gmail.com. I'm happy to help expand on any concepts that you think might help, explain different thoughts behind the diet structures. Awesome. Well, before you tune me out, we are updating our website. We're going to be putting on free programming, also going to put on templates that trainers and individuals can buy to create their own workouts, as well as nutrition course material, so that way you can start to write your own nutrition plans, whether it's for your clients or for yourself. So really going to start to kind of expand the website. The business has been growing really well, and I want to kind of give that back as a thank you to everybody. I really do appreciate everything. So I want to put a ton of content on there and just make it easier for everybody to get better quality information. Towards that respect, we're going to be putting up on the website, I want to put on little testimonials about the benefit of the podcast to encourage people to listen to the podcast. So if the podcast has been helpful to you, if you don't mind, please send us an email to brittleironjim@gmail.com, just writing a little blurb, a couple sentences, or you can write a big long story of how the podcast has been helpful. Include your name and where you're from. And then we're going to put that on the website as like a rotating image so people can see the ways in which the podcast has been helpful, and hopefully that'll encourage people to listen to the podcast. So if you don't mind doing that, I really would appreciate it. It would be fun to get up some testimonials on the website to encourage people to listen to the podcast, which hopefully then can help them live healthier and happier lives. Cool. Well, thank you if you do that. I do really appreciate it. Also, thank you to the people who financially support the podcast with donations. The podcast is well over $1,000 a year for hosting costs. I give an hour to it every day, and we're going to keep it for free. So I appreciate the donations to help cover some of that cost. It's very helpful. Thank you. If you want to donate, you can do so at our website, www.brittleironjim.com. We have an option for a one-time donation, monthly donation, yearly donation, even just $5 a month. It does go a long way, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, if you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube under the name Brittle Iron Gym. If you have any questions, feedback, suggestions, anything you want to know, let us know at our email, brittleironjim@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.